Hello and welcome to Tammy. I'm so glad you could join me today. I'm so excited because, again, I always talk about being inspired, talk about being ignited and revolutionized. I want to first thank all of my guests for being on the show, but more importantly, I want to thank you because you've been calling me, you've been texting me, you've been emailing me, and I really appreciate it. I want to hear those unique stories, so keep them coming. Today, has been very devastating for the folks down there in the Gulf, in Louisiana and Texas, and all around in that area. I want us to really just send prayers out to them right now because as we talk about Tammy, your community, your story, I want to make sure that we send them our love and our prayers. I remember when I had to go through Hugo with my father and my parents and my friends and my family, and how devastating that was for us, not to have lights, not to have running water, to have to be able to get all those trees up and go stand in line for hours just for dry ice to try to keep our food fresh. So again, let's pray for them, folks. And I also want to send special prayers to some friends of mine. They're very close. We've been very close for years. The Pryor family. Please know that I love you and we're praying for you and sending prayers. I also want to send prayers out to all the folks that have lost loved ones due to this pandemic. Thinking about all of the things that we've been talking about. So let's keep everybody in prayer, folks. We need it right now. Again, we have an inspiring story. I'm so excited. This young lady that's coming on, she's a supermodel. She's an author. She's an entrepreneur. And guess what? She's only 12 years old. So I want to introduce you to her mother and to her. First, we're going to meet her mother, which is Miss Linda Liggins West and Soleil West. How are you both doing out there in California?
Hi, we're doing great. How are you?
Fine. It's so good to have you on the show. Soleil, you've been slaying, girl. I mean, you've been working it. And I'm looking at your LinkedIn page and everything's coming through on your LinkedIn page and your Facebook page and all those likes. You have been doing it. Linda, I want to start with you because to have a child like Soleil who's so talented and who's like a protege, what does that mean to you? Because I know you're very proud of her. Talk about that.
It means a lot because, she's not the only child that we have in the family, and she's definitely not the only child who's out there doing great things, but definitely she's the one child that's doing things more in the public eye. But we are absolutely proud of her for finding her purpose and for being so fearless and walking in her purpose. It was a challenge for us when we originally saw all this stuff because as people will see, it's not something you just want to throw your kid into. There's a lot of things you have to research and a lot of things you're a little skeptical about, and believe me, I am the biggest skeptic. So a lot of research and kind of just learning how can we allow her to do what God has given her the ability to do, but protect her at the same time. So
right. And that's it. That is very profound of what you said, because you noticed in her early. I mean, listen, Soleil, you're 12 years old now.
Yes.
But this happened years ago. I mean, when I'm talking years ago, I'm saying years ago when she was a little girl. Right, Linda?
Yes, absolutely.
And so, Linda, when you noticed that talent in her, what was the first thing that you would say to a parent that notices a talent in a child? What advice would you give them?
Okay. Well, I would definitely say to listen to your kid. I've always been a believer that if you just watch your kids closely enough, you'll find their passion. And it's just your job to, once you've identified that passion, just to nurture it and allow it to grow without pushing, without taking control, just kind of fall back and let the talent lead. And so, because Soleil was 3 at the time that she was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I want to do this. But, of course, I'm a skeptic and I'm like, well, how do I know this is really what she wants to do? How do I know you know, I just want to make sure it wasn't me pushing and it was something she wanted to do. So
Mm-hmm.
we did wait until she was 5 to actually sign that modeling contract and allow her to do it. But that's when she kind of took off. And I know it's hard for her to explain it, but everyone's like, how did you get into modeling? And I just felt like the life of modeling kind of selected her. It wasn't that
Wow.
she selected it. It was just the moment that she did it for the first time, it was like a light bulb went off and it was like, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Wow. 5 years old, Soleil. Soleil, I mean,
Yes.
I am excited. You were 5 years old. So you've been modeling for 7+ years now.
Yes.
Long time.
Listen, tell the audience who Soleil is.
Okay, so my name is Soleil West. I'm 12 years old, and I am the youngest professional runway model to walk amongst all adults in New York Fashion Week. And I am also a model, texture activist, environmentalist, CEO of my own company, or t-shirt company, The Chatty Chick. This is also one of their shirts. It says "Kinky Hair Matters." If you can't see, because it's kind of mirrored. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. And yes, and I'm also an author of my own book, Parents Guide to Kids Runway and Parents Guide to Kids Runway, for brown girls, co-authoring with my mom.
Yes, yes. And there is the book. I mean, I see we have that book, and you also have the other book, which is Kids Runway for Brown Girls.
Yes.
So how did that happen? Let's talk about it, because you're an author. So how did you come up with that book, Mom? What did the both of you all do? Either one of you can start.
What?
Well, how about I start with the book and you can
Mm-hmm.
start with why we have 2 books.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
So the reason why we started with the book is because I would get a lot of inboxes like, oh my gosh, how do I get my kid into runway? And there's so much that people don't even realize goes on behind the scenes of kids runway. It's totally different than adults runway. And I'm like, you know, I feel like before parents make the decision to put their kid in, they need to kind of understand how it works behind the scenes and agree to that first, because just the opening statements is enough to have people be like, no, I'm good. So I just felt like there's an amount of education that I had to provide to the other parents to be like, hey, if you're going to get involved, this is what you need to be aware of. But then there's also things you have to be aware of once you're in it, and things that will increase your odds of your kids getting selected and stuff like that. And then Soleil's personal experience is the reason why we made 2 books. So
Okay, so I'll continue that. So the reason why there is 2 books is because when I would be doing mainly kids runway, there I would be the only brown girl, and okay, there may be maybe another one, but I was mainly the only brown girl. So we assumed that the rules were different for any other person, or compared to, brown girls, it's different, and so we decided that we should make 2 books to, show them what to do and what not to do, because, while we were going through the journey, we learned that there was definitely a lot of different things that you had to go through.
So Soleil, let's talk about that. What were some of the different things that you had to go through as being a brown girl from the predominantly, white girl?
Right. So as I said, they only pick about 1 or 2 brown girls in the whole lineup, and that's mainly only for kids. And something else that I would also say is that, well, that's the only thing I can really think of.
yeah, I think the part is more on the parents' part.
Mm-hmm.
It's more on the parents' part for them to notice. The model doesn't necessarily see it, but that's the reason why we did the book for the parents, because yeah, they only pick 1 black girl. There's no sugarcoating it. When she did runway, 9 out of 10 of the time, she was the only black girl in the whole entire lineup. So, and that's because the rules are different for us. We have a style of runway that they consider urban, and they don't like that. So if you are a parent and you have a black daughter, and she's really well known in the industry, and she does a lot of runway shows on the East Coast or in Atlanta, the odds of her being selected are almost zero because they don't want that sassy walk. They don't want, so there's certain things that you have to do to kind of almost separate yourself from that. If you're going to submit your kid, don't submit any of those images, don't submit any of those videos, and it's probably not even ideal to have those types of videos on your in your Instagram, your social media, because as soon as they see those videos, they're not going to pick you. They would rather pick a model who never walked runway before than one that walks in a show every weekend. So it's totally different. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to show this picture so folks can see. Look at you. Oh, my God. Look at you, my darling. Just gorgeous, as they say, darling. Fabulous. So when you talk about, because, you know, I used to model. I was going to put up a picture of mine, but I decided this is about you, Soleil. So my daughter was modeling as well. And so when you send those pictures, what are those types of pictures? What did you have to kind of stay away from? Because as we're looking at Soleil with the natural hair, the beautiful, you know, queen look, what did you have to do, Linda, to really keep that at a minimum, would you say?
Let's see. And it wasn't so much the natural hair. I think the biggest misconception with Soleil, and I'm not implying that we did it right. And the reason why is because they didn't pick her either. You know, they would look at her pictures and say, oh my gosh, she's so fierce. She's going to get out on that runway and do all the things we don't want her to do. So no, she did not get selected. The only reason why Soleil actually got in the kids runway is because a friend of mine knew a designer and was like, oh, you know, I did this favor for you. Your favor for me is, you know, to get her into the lineup. There was absolutely no other kids designers that were interested in Soleil at all besides the one designer. And again, we all know that how that story ended. Once her viral video came out, she got dropped from the lineup. And it's been interesting. But it wasn't until she started walking with the adults that the kids designers were like, well, maybe I do want her. And it was like, I'm one of those kind of people. I'm not petty, but I remember how you treat us when we're, you know, before you find out what her talent is. So yeah, we made note, and no, thank you.
Wow. So Soleil, what inspired you to be this model? I mean, at 3 years old, what was it for you? What was that spark? What was it?
Well, my parents have always told me that I was photogenic. And, you know, I never really believed them until I got, you know, in front of that camera. And I was like, when I did it, I was 3 years old and I did not know modeling or any of this stuff really existed. When I found this out, I was, you know, like, I really enjoyed it. And I was like, I want to do this till I die because this is like the best thing ever. How did I not even know about this? Like when I found out about Project Runway, and I was like, I want to start doing designing. And, you know, but yeah, I mean, I personally just really loved the idea of modeling and, you know, the process. Because I really like being in front of the camera. It's
not the pictures. She like the modeling.
Yeah,
and then she doesn't care what you do. You could take pictures in an empty camera and click all day and she'll sit there and pose. She doesn't care anything about the images. She doesn't want to see the images. She's like, that's you. Like, Mom, the pictures are for you. The moment of modeling is for me.
Wow. And so that's, you love the behind the scenes, the production of putting it all together. That's what I love, production and all that. I mean, we can do the in front of the camera, but you know, the production side, because you have to, you know, it's so much that goes into it. And when people see all of the designers and all the clothes and all, I mean, it's excitement, isn't it, Soleil?
Yes, I definitely do really love, you know, putting on different clothing and, you know, being able to experience what different clothing feels like.
Wow. I mean, I am excited to speak with you because it's so different to see a young lady who has accomplished so much in such a short time.
Thank
And
you.
then, I mean, you're 12 years old, and we're gonna get to all the things that you want to do later on, and all those types of things. But just to see the process of where you have been and where you are now. I mean, Linda, that says a lot about you and your husband, your family, about the support. And I think that's important as well. Giving her that support, you know, and yeah, yeah. I mean, that's amazing. That's phenomenal.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm with the supermodel of today.
Yes,
And that's what
definitely.
you are, the supermodel. Now, one thing that I did want to ask you while we were talking about the book that you wrote about for brown girls, Kids on the Runway for Brown Girls. So, Linda, when you talk about the difference if with the adult runway and the kids runway, what's the biggest difference?
The biggest difference is the diversity. I felt like, I don't know if it's that we were so blessed to work with the adult designers that were so open to it and so progressive in their thinking. Because I know with Mario De La Torre, he is like the king of diversity. You know, he would have the older models, the younger models, the plus size models, the shorter models. He had a pregnant model. So he would have transgender models. He was like anything that's in our society, he wanted represented on his runway. And I felt blessed to be a part of that because that's how it made it easy for Soleil to get in the door. But I feel like the diversity in the designers we've worked for, there were no issues because I would say at least half the lineup was minority. Yeah. Wow. So we didn't have any of those issues that we had in Kids Runway.
Wow. Isn't that something? Because I know there may be some parents watching us right now that want to reach out to you. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you? Through your website?
Yes, they can go to soleilwest.com/contact and send us any messages, info@SoleilWest. If there's any questions or anything, we just ask for a little time because sometimes we do get bombarded with messages and it takes us a while to respond. But yes, that's how they can contact us.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I thank God for you. I thank God you responded right away, Soleil, and I thank God you all were able to do that because I know at the time we talked, you all were traveling as well.
Yes.
So now, Soleil, I want to ask you a question. I want to talk about the runway part. I want you to tell me, what is it like being on that runway for you?
What is it like being on the runway? You know, it's really cool. Personally, I don't really know what goes on because when I'm walking, I'm more of like a in the zone and I'm just like doing it. And then when I come back, I'm just like, I go back to like how I was. And like, it's kind of like, it's like a switch, like a light switch. Like I turn it on and turn it off. And it's kind of like, I'm in the zone. And especially like when I do something, and a lot of people are like cheering, and my mom's like, what did you do? And I was just like, I did what you told me to do. I mean, but I tried.
She never remembers. It's like, we literally call it like an out of body experience where she just gets out there and comes back. And it's like, well, what did you think? She's like, I don't really know what happened out there.
I love it. I love it. So tell us about 10 years old and being in Fashion Week in New York. How did that happen, Linda, first of all? And Soleil, then the question for you would be, what did that feel like? So Linda, how did that happen?
So she had walked, the first time she walked for an adult designer, she was actually 9 years old. It was the day she had her viral video for the orange dress. A couple of hours later, she walked for Mario De La Torre. So for her 10th birthday, because she was mortified that she's like, I'm walking with these adults and I have these little baby kitten heels on. And she's like, can I please have heels? And my husband is a minister. He's like, no, absolutely not. And we tried and tried to hold it in, but I guarantee you the day we finally let her do it, that was like her awakening moment because her walk in heels is a totally different walk. So When she walked in Palm Springs, it was like a month or two after her 10th birthday, David Tupas was there. So
Mm.
he was like, wow, she's pretty good. How about I have her close my opening show of New York Fashion Week? And so I'll let you say your response to
Oh,
that.
well, wow. Come
Okay.
on. I want to hear this, Celine.
Okay. So when I heard that, I was like, you want me, someone that doesn't really know how to walk in heels. Like I knew how to walk in them. I just wasn't really I was kind of comfortable in them, but I had to get used to them. I wasn't really able to wear them for long, and I'm
Mhm.
still not able to. But I was like, really want me to do that? I was like, what? I was like super happy because the first time that I went to New York Fashion Week, I had three designers that I really wanted to walk for. One was Mario De La Torre, the other one was David Tupas, and then the other one was Milan Breton. And so I was like, oh my God, this is like a big accomplishment, especially if I'm going to be closing the show, and he is the opening show for New York Fashion Week. And because it was my first time ever in the show, I'm pretty sure, or like a big show actually.
Mhm.
And backstage, it was a lot. It wasn't really pressure. I just stayed in my own lane. Mom did my hair. They did my makeup. A lot of the models were like really supportive. They were really nice, and some one of the models, and she was also on America's Next Top Model. She helped me with my poses.
Mhm. Wow. I mean, that's exciting. I'm talking about you're working with all of these designers. Now, I saw the picture. I don't have the picture to show everybody, but they can go on the website, they can go on Instagram and all those things and see your pictures. But I saw you on that runway, 10 years old. You were like, I mean, I was like, you go. Look at her. Look at her. Fabulous. And here you are, 12 years old. And I just saw a recent picture of you that I really loved how you were walking the catwalk
Thank
and
you.
everybody was looking at you. It was like you commanded the audience and everyone was looking at you and you were just so, I mean, supermodel is not, it's super. That's all I can say. So let's talk about who have you met?
Okay. Who have I met? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So as I said before, I met her name's Erin Green. She was on America's Next Top Model. I
Mm-hmm.
met Lears Cross from Project Runway. She was season 16. She won the model part of Project Runway. I think that was like 3 years ago. She's also my model mom actually. And who else? And I've also met Diva Divana. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
hmm.
Jade, Jade from
Oh,
American
gee.
Idol,
Yeah.
Yes, I
Oh,
did.
wow.
and Naima.
You're right. I did meet Naima.
Naima as well. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness. Wow. So now, we've been talking about being on the runway, but Mom and Celeste, you all have traveled around the world. Let's talk about some of those travels. Tell us about that, Say.
Okay, so the main places that I usually travel for runway are LA and New York. And New York Fashion Week, LA Fashion Week, those are like the main places that we usually go. We're pretty familiar with the places, even though New York's kind of busy and I'm not a busy person. I'm not fast or anything. And but we also, this doesn't really have anything to do with like runway or modeling or anything, but we did go to the UK for World Afro Day. That was such a great experience. That was actually my first time out of country. And honestly, it was crazy. And I really did enjoy it. And then we also went to St. Thomas for a fashion show, and that was really cool. It was hot, but I mean, we live in Sacramento, California. It's always hot over here. And yeah, it was fun. We went to the beach. It was good to travel. My mom and I definitely like to travel around the world a lot of
Wow.
the time.
Wow. So what was your favorite place
My favorite place.
on your
Ooh,
travels?
my favorite place to travel. I did like St. Thomas. That was fun. Even though I only
Mhm.
went to the beach once, and then once I went to the beach, I didn't want to leave, but it's okay. it's good to, being able to be in a different environment, being
Mhm.
able to try different things, do different things, and we really enjoyed it, especially like in the UK. They had different things, and especially like different food. Our hotel had some different breakfast.
Mhm.
So what was different about the breakfast select?
I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but like it was kind of bland, I guess. And I remember we were at having a breakfast on, it was like a circle thing. It was like blackish brown red thing. So I tasted it.
It's called something pudding.
No.
So I thought it was sweet.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I
No.
yeah, it wasn't sweet. I sacrificed myself. Sacrificed my taste buds for her. So I tasted it, and I was like, "What is this?" I don't remember how it tasted like.
Yeah.
But later to find out that it was pig blood.
It was what?
Pig blood.
Oh. Mm.
I
Wow.
was not happy. She
I
found
know,
out.
I know. So Linda, do you have anybody else that escorts Soleil if you're unavailable, or are you always there with her? And how do you make sure that she's secure?
So I am with her constantly. As a matter of fact, when she's working, by law, I'm not allowed to be outside of ear or eye shot of her at all times. So, which to me works perfect because I don't want to leave her unattended at any
Mm-hmm.
point. So
Mm-hmm.
I just, I feel like when we were in the kids modeling, you're required to drop your kid off and come back 5 hours later to watch the show. So you didn't know what your kid was going to look like, what outfit they were going to have on. You don't know anything. But I do feel like with the adult modeling, even though it's adult and they're like, well, she's a kid, she shouldn't be with the adults, but I can be with her 100% of the time without her leaving my eyesight. And to me, I feel more safe like that.
That's good. And Linda, some of the pictures that I've been seeing lately, and with us being going through this pandemic, you are the creative person behind all of this. The makeup, the hair. Talk about that.
So when we do stuff for the industry, they have total control of stuff. And we found that we were in some unfavorable positions with them not knowing how to do her hair. Now that we've kind of taken a step back because she's kind of grown out of the kid market. I know that sounds weird. She's 12, but 12 is around the age you grow out of the kid market and transition for the adult market. So now I have total control over everything that we do. So now when we do photo shoots, I do all the styling, I do the hair, I do the makeup, and everything else is her.
She usually
Wow.
does styling.
Would you say, Soleil?
Oh, she usually does the styling.
Yeah, and the styling is fabulous. I mean, the one picture that I saw recently, you had on the African print. You had on, well, like kente cloth, I want to say, some type of kente cloth, and your hair. You had a head wrap on, glasses, sunglasses, and you were just strutting. And I thought that was just so unique because we don't get to see that. You don't get to see somebody, a Soleil. You really don't. I mean, that's why I'm so excited, because you don't get to talk to a Soleil. And so I wanted my audience, as I talk about your story and your community, I wanted them to really hear from a young woman who's out there doing it. I mean, you're living in your purpose.
Thank you.
You actually are living in your purpose. Just like your mom said, it's what God had instilled in you from the time you were born. And so I applaud you, my darling. I really applaud you. So let's talk about family, school, life, balance. Because Soleil, you have a lot that you have to do. I mean, you're 12 years old, you're still growing up. There are things that you want to do. You're still a 12-year-old girl. How do you balance school and work?
All right. So I am actually homeschooled. I've been homeschooled since last July, actually, because last year was really busy. We went to New Orleans. That was the same year we went to St. Thomas and London. So I would be missing a lot of school. And I did not want that because I always have been getting honor roll since I was in kindergarten. And if I was missing all these days, then I wouldn't be able to get honor roll. And then I'd like really feel bad. And
Mhm.
so my parents thought, just start homeschooling. And so we did the online school. I'm still doing that. I'm actually in seventh grade now because I finished sixth grade, I think, in like February. And I'm going to finish seventh grade next week. So I'm going to start eighth grade. I don't know. and
Wow.
thank you. And, really excited about that. But, I'm definitely able to balance it easier because I'm just able to bring my computer everywhere.
And talk about that computer because Linda, when I first talked with you, I was asking you about this computer that she uses, and you said it was fabulous. So how has it helped? I mean, are you able to do everything you can on the laptop that you have?
Oh, absolutely. It's a kid computer called Tenoshi, and they have all these different colors. So what it is, it's a small miniature laptop, but it separates from the keyboard and becomes a tablet. And so every time that we've had to travel, we have like this little Wi-Fi device. So she's able to do her homework. She's done it on the train going from New Jersey to New York. She's done it in the back seat of my car driving back from LA with a flashlight. Like she's done it everywhere. We've done it in the airport, like anywhere we can be. If she has schoolwork that needs to get done and get those hours in, she can do it. She's brought it on set and able to get work done. So to us, it's definitely been a game changer.
Yes.
Wow, that's wonderful. So now, Soleil, what's your favorite subject in school?
I really personally love all subjects, but my top favorite would be science. Because yes, since I was little, I just like to mix things, and then some stuff would happen, and then it would ruin my carpet, especially my carpet. But it was worth it. I had some fun, did some stuff.
She just always wants to mix stuff just to see what happens.
Right.
And so what I thought was cool is since we like threw away all her slime stuff, I wanted her to still be able to mix, but in a more controlled environment. So she started a beauty series on YouTube where she mixes these products and makes her own face care stuff.
Right. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, where do we find that information? Are you about to put out a new product yet, my darling?
Well, we're definitely gonna have to start doing videos because we are traveling from Atlanta, so we're definitely gonna be doing those at some point. But if you guys want to go and check out my YouTube channel, you guys can go through my website, SoleilWest.com, or you guys can just go to YouTube and search Soleil West.
Oh, wow.
So they're all DIY recipes.
DIY recipes. I love it. I love it. So you're a STEM girl.
Yes.
Well, we're going to say a STEAM girl because you have to add art in there now. So you're a STEAM girl. So does this mean you might be a scientist one day, you think? Or an inventor of these products?
Yes, definitely. I remember when I was little, I was like, I want to incorporate science with designing. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make some waterproof dresses or some dresses that light up or something.
I love it. I love it. I love that idea. Wow.
Thank
So
you.
now we're going to talk about your entrepreneurship because you have on Kinky Hair Matters, but I also have a little video that I want to share with everybody from the chitchattychick.com. Are we ready to see that video?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna show everybody your video, and then here we go. Oh, wow. Look at that. The chatty chick. I'm telling you now, I love that. So let's talk about these t-shirts. Let's talk about the business. How did you start the chattychick.com?
All right. So I started the Chatty Chick when I was 7 years old because we've been getting a lot of messages and still are getting a lot of messages saying that I did not like my hair, but after I started looking at your page, then I started to, embrace my hair more. And so my mom and I decided that we should make a t-shirt company, the Chatty Chick. And the name came from because when I was little, I used to talk a lot. I mean, I could talk a lot now, but I mean, I'm kind of selective with it. And so that's how that name came. That's where the name came from. But after a while, we seen that not just girls with curly or kinky hair weren't wearing it. So we seen girls with blonde curly hair, red hair, long gray hair. We seen girls with dreads, even boys wearing it. So we decided that we were going to make T-shirts for the whole family.
Wow. I love that because in making t-shirts for the whole family, and
Hello.
it's a family business. Now you see me, right?
Oh, yes.
Yes. I put it so that everybody could see both of you together. But it's interesting that you had the know-how and the want to do to really do this type of business. And so how is the business going, and how are you helping these young ladies?
How's the business going?
How's the business going?
Okay, how's the business going? Yeah, duh. Okay. The business, going really good. We actually recently, or actually today, we asked some of my followers for suggestions for t-shirts because we wanted to include some of my people because we want to let them know that we really appreciate them. And so, but yeah, the Chatty Chick's going really well. We're getting a lot of sales, or we're getting a good amount of sales, and we're definitely happy about that. And we're just gonna continue growing.
Wow. So Linda, I got a question. I'm looking at Soleil's hair now. And how often do you change her hair?
Well, right now she's in a protective style. So since quarantine, we were like, let's try protective styles. We were never able to really do protective styles because if I braided it and she got an audition, we'd have to take it out. So we were like, thanks to Corona, we're going to do some protective styling. This is her third one. We do them about 8 weeks long before we change it up. But this is her second with the twist back to back because she preferred the twist. Yes. So I don't know what the next one is. Once we took it out, then she's seen how much her hair grew. So she's like, oh my gosh, I love it. Hurry up and put it back in a protective style so I can see how much longer it is in 8 weeks. So now we're just on the road to growing it all out.
It's really beautiful. As we said, looking at the pictures, how much hair you have when we show that video. You have so much hair. I mean, it's out to here. So I can only imagine that it's probably all the way down your back now, right?
Oh yes, it is. She never measures it, pulling it down. It's always the width. Yeah.
Wow.
She just wants it big. She doesn't care like how far it hangs. She's just like, how far can we get this out?
Right.
Yeah. I love this. I mean, I love that. That's fabulous. Look at that. That is just, oh wow, to have hair like that. That's the soul train, right, Linda?
Yes.
The soul train.
Yeah, one day I'll try and get there.
Yeah.
So now, Soleil, you said you're in the 7th grade, and so that means you're starting the 7th grade, correct?
No, I'm almost done with the 7th grade.
Wow. So you're going to be finished pretty quickly.
Yes, I'm going to be finished about next week.
She worked through the summer.
Yes.
Okay. So that brings me to my next question. You're going to the 8th grade. So that means you're getting ready to go into high school. Do you see yourself finishing high school by the time you 15 years old? 4, you know,
Probably.
15, 16, maybe?
I don't know. Ah, man.
You never
I
thought
I
you.
don't want to. I don't want to.
I would love to see her do that. To her, it's a little scary thinking that far ahead. So
Mhm.
I was like, it doesn't matter. We'll just put her on track.
That's
And then
right.
when it happens, it happens. But,
Wow.
yeah.
But that means, so when you're homeschooled, you're working through the summer. I mean, you're taking classes the whole time for the whole year. So you don't take a break, do you?
No. No, I
Okay.
No.
didn't take it. No.
She didn't take a break last year because as soon as school got out in the fifth grade, a week later, she was like, can I start the sixth grade?
Yeah.
So we had her start the beginning of July, and then she finished in February.
Yeah, and then I took
Wow.
Then she took a 2 week break. Then she just went ahead on to seventh. So this year she's not going to be able to get the break because it's technically part of the school year and we have to meet with her teacher. So he's going to want to see some kind of academic progress. So she'll just start the eighth grade right after she's done.
Wow. Girl, you are amazing. Mom, you are amazing. Your whole family. So let's talk about this. So Soleil, what advice would you give to a young lady that's watching that wants to get into the modeling business? What would you tell her?
I would just say, have fun. Make sure that it's something that you want to do and that you're committed to it and that you set goals
Set
or follow your
goals.
dreams too.
And follow your dreams. That's what I'm talking about. And so, what does that mean about preparation? So, Linda, as a parent, what would a parent need to be doing to get prepared for their child to go into this industry?
I would definitely say the only preparation you can really do is to consistently instill in your child that they're going to get a lot of no's and it's not personal. So if you have the kind of kid that if they don't get called back, then their feelings get hurt, this is absolutely not the industry for them because they're going to get a lot of those. And you have to be careful to make sure that you're not putting them in a situation that's going to kill their self-esteem. But also it's really up to the parent in regards to as far as a time commitment for the parent, because we're 6 hours away from LA. So if she gets an audition, we're 6 hours there for a 10-minute audition and 6 hours back. So there's more of a huge time commitment on my part than there is on her part. So it's something the parent needs to be aware of and that they can agree to because it's going to be work.
And with anything, Linda, you know, I'm glad you said that because with anything, writing the book, you all doing the modeling, you know, you're going in school, you're being homeschooled. It's work. You got to put in the work. You know, faith without works is dead. So you got to put in that work and to make it happen. One of the things, Linda, you and I, we talked off camera, but you talked about there is also that commitment, the funds, the resources that you need. So there may be a young lady out here that's looking. What would you say some of those barriers may be for them not to be able to go into the industry? Is one of them resources, having the money to do that?
Oh, absolutely. Because when you do New York Fashion Week and you're a kid's model, red flag, you have to pay for your kid to walk in New York Fashion Week. We've never had to pay, but there's parents that are paying as much as $1,500 just for their kid to walk for one designer in a major show. So not only do you have to pay travel to New York, you have to pay your accommodations and food, you have to pay the designers to walk. And I've seen parents pay as much as $5,000 just for their kid to walk in New York Fashion Week. So yeah, if you're not careful, there's a lot of expenses that you can incur from stuff like that.
And what about the fact that there are a lot of people out there who are scammers? What do you do to keep yourself aware of any of these scammers?
Any agency or that's charging you money to get signed, charging you money for castings, charging you money for anything other than for a photo shoot, because I think that's a big misconception that people are like, oh, I'm not supposed to pay anything. No, you do have to pay a photographer for your images. But if you have to pay to get signed or get paid to submit to a casting, it's odds are it's not legitimate. And I would say it's definitely a red flag.
Hmm. Yeah, I was wondering because, as you said, you are with her 24/7. Number one, that's a lot in itself. But then when you have parents who just say, "Oh, well, she wants to dance or she wants to model," and they send her off for the 4 or 5 hours, you never know what can happen. And
Exactly.
so the book that you've written, the book that you've written, the Parent's Guide to Kids Runway and the Parent's Guide to Kids Runway for Brown Girls, it talks about all of this stuff, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Good, good,
Yes.
good. Well, listen, how can folks get the book? That's the other thing.
It's available on Soleil's website, soleilwest.com/author. And both of the books are available. It's an easy download ebook for $9.99. Nothing crazy. We're not trying to rip anybody's heads off or anything like that. But yeah, it's
Mhm.
available on her website.
Okay. Soleil, what do you want to share at this point and tell the audience? What do you want them to get from this interview? You want them takeaway?
I will just say that you're never too young or too old to follow your dreams. And what yeah, just yeah, you don't have to wait, and just know that all you have to do if you're, older and you still have something that you want to do, make sure
Mhm.
that make sure you do it, okay? Because I know that there's a lot of people out there that are doing something that they don't want to do. So make sure you fulfill your dream and do something that you genuinely enjoy.
Wow. From out of the mouths of babes, enjoy it. Follow your dreams. And one thing I liked about what you just said, Soleil, is no matter how old you are, follow your dreams. Okay, so let's talk about this. What's next, girlfriend?
um so well we don't really have a lot of stuff planned, but we're definitely planning on doing another book. We do not know about what. We're definitely doing more marketing for the Chatty Chick. I'm planning on making more shirts, and just in general, like something that I want to be when I grow up, like to add on to all the stuff that I already do. I would like to become a fashion designer.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. Technical difficulties. I still see you. What happened? I still see you. Okay, so we lost connection for a minute. When you come back, you'll be back. All right. Folks, that's what happens when you have these technical difficulties going on. And so, as I said, they're on the West Coast, and so they may be having a few issues at this time. But listening to Soleil, she says, follow your dreams, no matter how old you are. Follow your and if you follow your dreams, then look at what happens. You've got a young lady like Soleil West. I mean, really, come on. We got to do this. 12 years old, fashion model, supermodel, also an author, an entrepreneur. She's a STEAM girl. What can be any better than that? I wish at time I was 12 years old. Of course, I was doing a whole bunch of stuff too at 12 years old. But just to have a child that you can see that walks on the runway with professional adults and doesn't have a problem doing it at all. You talk about walking in your purpose. So I'm going to talk to you. Walk in your purpose. Follow your dreams. Tell your story, because you're going to, what do I always say? Inspire, and you're going to ignite something in somebody else, and you can revolutionize that person or persons. So I want you to just sit back and just enjoy. I want to thank you again for being on the show. I mean, I enjoyed Soleil so much today, and her mother. I want to thank them for being on the show because they took time out of their busy schedule to be on Tammy. We will come back. I'm going to come back probably with her at another time, and you're going to be able to see Soleil, and you will be able to ask her questions as well. I want to thank you for your comments. You all have been singing your comments, and I thank you. I mean, my sister Alicia and Michelle and everybody else that's been watching, and Auntie Bertie Zelda Lee. I thank you all so much for all that you have been doing and for all of your support. Again, I want to hear from you. I want to hear your unique stories. We all have a story to tell. And I've gotten some great stories. Next week, we're going to be talking with Cynthia Washington Williams, mental health expert, has traveled all around the world, works with everybody. And we're going to be talking about what's on your mind matters. Just like you saw kinky hair matters, well, we're talking about what's on the mind. That's what's coming up next week. And so I want you to send us your questions. You can email us at info@tammymccotry.com. You can email us at info@tammymccotry.com. Also, you can send your stories there as well. You can keep us informed. Let us know what's going on in your world. I want to hear about what's happening in your community because a lot's going on. Remember, you are on Tammy, your story, your community. So I want to thank you all for joining the show today. I want to thank Soleil and Linda for joining us and for just inspiring us to be our best selves. So I want you to have a great week. Look forward to seeing you next week with Cynthia Washington Williams. And what's on your mind matters. I want to hear from you, and I want to thank you for always tuning in to Tammy. You all have a wonderful, wonderful night, and may God continue to bless you. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.